Hello. Hello, hello. Welcome. How you doing? Good? Yeah. We are going to start standing, but you can start sitting if you want to, because I'm going to be sitting until other people arrive. Hang on. There she is. So welcome, everyone. Either stand up with your feet flat on the floor, and you can use the wall. So if you want to, I want you to feel really grounded to begin with. So either stay sitting or stand up and try, if you can, to have your spine and your head, but don't force it if it doesn't naturally hit the wall, resting back against the wall. So you can just feel very grounded. If there's no available wall space, don't worry, just stay sitting for now, whichever feels more comfy. So just sitting with your legs crossed, hands on your knees, or standing. You can freestand if you like, you don't have to rest against the wall. All I want you to do for the first few moments is just really focus in on how the body's feeling today and gently tune into your breath. So let's see if you can notice how deeply you're breathing or how shallowly. So let's just place a hand on the top of the spine, sort of the throat area. So you can kind of just gently feel that expanse, maybe even touch your collarbones gently, just to sort of notice where they are. And I want you with one hand on that space, just underneath the throat, just above the heart center, just to tune into your breath. So as you're breathing, can you feel your hand rising? Or can you feel instead a sense of softness and like your breath is releasing further down beyond the hand? So there's no right or wrong for now, it's just sort of tuning into where your breath is. And after a few breaths, see if you can encourage, if you are feeling a sense of lift through that space underneath or in between the collarbones, see if you can deeply channel that breath, see as and then expand that space just below, around the heart center, around the rib cage area. And if you like, as you start to allow the breath to release further down, just let your hand softly release further down too, towards your breastbone. And close your eyes if you want to. See if you can almost invite a sense of space and width underneath that area. So imagine the soft movement of the rib cage, a bit like bellows. Imagine them opening with your in-breath, closing with your out-breath. So Caroline, we're sitting or standing, whichever you feel more comfortable with. So if you've been sitting down a lot today, you might want to start standing. But if you feel you need a bit of grounding, let's start sitting. So we're just breathing softly with one hand, just between that space between your throat and your heart center, and then just very gently, as you begin to allow the breath to embody a little bit more of your torso, maybe follow that space with your hand. So taking your hand down towards your navel, see if you can really feel that sense of the space and the expanse of your belly as you breathe in. And if you can't, don't worry, just see if you can invite that sensation there. So it's trying to allow the breath to explore further down the torso. And as we're doing this, try and notice your exhalation. See if you've been breathing in and out through the nose. Maybe start to release that breath out through the lips. See if that changes or allows that exhalation to release a little bit more. Just experimenting. And then releasing your arms either down, both by your side, or hands onto the knees, depending on which position you're in. And I want you just to imagine the breath kind of sending itself down on your in-breath, down towards, all the way down towards the bottom of that space now, towards the pubic bone. And as you breathe out, then just gently imagine that journey back out, up and out as it releases through the jaw. Breathing in. The sensations descend down through the belly towards the pubic bone, and as you breathe out, can you feel the breath then releasing? Let's do 2 more breaths like this. In and then maybe gently as you're breathing, start to mobilize the head ever so gently at the end of the spine. So whichever movement kind of feels right for you. So whether that's maybe little circles of the head at the end of the spine, changing direction, or maybe just gentle nodding of the ear from one ear to the shoulder. Just kind of notice feel your way to what your head wants to do at the end of your spine. Notice if there's any creakiness. Try and kind of, lubricate the joints of the neck in a way that they don't normally. So really sort of consider the little tiny nuances of your movement, how important they are for your bones and your muscles. And then from here, if you are sitting like I am, we're going to join everyone else standing. So tucking your toes underneath, and let's just fold forward and then roll ourselves up to standing. And we're going to take up a bit of space. So it might be that maybe today you've been sitting down quite a lot, maybe physically kind of holding yourself in quite a small position. Maybe you feel psychologically a little bit small, so let's make ourselves quite big. I want you to stand nice and wide. So either a little bit wider than shoulder width, or if shoulder width feels more comfortable, start there, and then you can sort of expand if it feels comfortable. If there's any pubic pain or pelvic pain at all, bring it really, really back to a comfortable hip width or shoulder width position. So only expand within the pelvis within a comfortable way, and we can do all the expansion in the world up through the top of your body. So I want you to make a little star shape, reaching the arms nice and wide. Think about really pinning or placing each toe down into the floor, so you're nice and grounded, and then really open up through the chest and spine. Let the shoulders soften into the back, but reach out as wide as you feel comfortable. And then I want you to reach over to the right, so as if you're trying to just pluck a star from the sky and then come back through center. And other side, reaching up to the left and then bring it back. Let's do 2 more either side. So reach, try and keep the pelvis quite nice and still, and we're just reaching out from the hips and the waist. Reach and back. Last one either side, reach and back. Really breathing into that movement, however you feel your body is wanting you to breathe. So a lovely deep in breath or an out breath, whichever your body feels more comfortable with. Now from here, I want you to sweep forward and back across, and sweep forward and back across. So we're trying to kind of really find that sense of expansion through the chest, and then find a little rotation through the rib cage as you do so. Remember, if you can bring your feet closer together if you need to, and reach and back. And then we're going to just ever so slightly bend the knees. Oops, my socks are falling down. So with this, you can either have the feet in parallel or slightly turned out, whichever feels more comfortable for you. And I want you to have the arms back in your little star shape, and you're going to just scoop and bring it all the way up. So it's a little scoop and bend, lift and back out. Scoop and bend, lift and back out. So really thinking about how big and wide you can make your body, and opening through the chest. Let's do 2 more on either side. Scoop, and last one either side. I love this one for if you've been like in any way crunched up. It's a really lovely way of just opening up through the chest. Now from here, I want you to walk or zigzag your feet back towards each other, hip width apart, and then you're going to curl yourself into a little ball. So crouching yourself down, make yourself lovely and connected and cozy, and then open it out into a big star. And then come back in, little cozy stone, and then opening it out nice and wide and big. Let's do one more like this, a little cozy stone. And then try and step with the other foot this time. I've kind of got too much stuff on that side, but opening it out nice and wide. And then just come into your hip width standing position, releasing the arms down by your side. Let the head lengthen and gather at the end of your spine, remembering trying to get the back of your head in line with the shoulder blades, but not if it means your chin pokes up. So think about the chin being parallel to the floor, nice sense of balance through the pelvis, soft ribs, lengthen through the crown of your head, and then just let the arms relax down by your side. Let's take a breath in, remembering that breath as it descended underneath the ribs or down and out through into the belly. And breathe out. Let's do one more breath, just recalibrating to this slightly smaller position, but staying open and as if you've kind of widened that space for your breath. And then on your next out breath, we're going to come down into a roll down. So nodding the chin to the chest, peeling the head, the neck, the shoulders off an imaginary wall behind you, or you can do this against the wall if you need to or prefer. Let the head be completely free at the bottom. Nod the head yes, shake the head no. And then begin to rebuild. Now if you need to, bending in the knees as much as feels comfortable. So don't worry about keeping those legs straight. I want you to feel like the spine is lovely and free. It doesn't matter if the legs don't want to be straightened. So breathing in at the top. If you want to, let's just rise up onto the toes. And release those heels down. Eyes down, chin down, let's roll all the way down. Check in with the belly, try and gently draw in through your centre as if you're hanging over the washing line. So you've got a lovely sense of length through the back of the body and the front of the body, but active through the centre. And then rolling up. Shoulders soften into the back. Crown of the head lengthens away from the pubic bone, and I want you, if you feel comfortable and balanced, rise up onto the toes. Slowly release down. Let's do two more, so nodding the chin. Let the arms be lovely and floppy. Breathing in. Breathing out. Shoulders softly rest against the back of the rib cage as the head lengthens, rising up when you're ready. Slowly lower, last one. Nodding the chin to the chest. Lengthening the spine forward and up and down, roll. Breathing in. Now on this one, you can stay there for an extra breath and just grab hold of your elbows if you want. Just a little bit of an extra connection and feedback to your shoulders, allowing just a bit more space and softness around the back of the rib cage. And then just release the arms, taking a breath in. And as you breathe out, lifting through your center. So imagine someone's pressing you up through your belly, pubic bone, waist, rib cage, breastbone. And then just rising up onto the toes when you are ready. And slowly lower back down. Now from here, remember how stable and solid this feels. So just have a feel around your pelvis, how level the hip bones feel, and how your waist is even on either side. And then I want you can keep the hands on the hips if that helps you, or have them down by your side. Imagine your weight funneling into that right foot. So like a sand timer, releasing down through the pelvis into that foot, and you're going to just bring the left knee, or foot rather, up off the mat. You can either hover the foot by the opposite ankle, or draw that knee directly in line with your hip bone, whichever feels more solid and comfortable for you. And I want you here to just check Whether the pelvis has gone from being level to being a little bit hitched or dropped, see if you can try and feel that both those hip bones are level still. So you're gently drawing a little bit more deeply in through your center, maybe draw pelvic floor connection or lower belly, whichever is more accessible for you. Shoulders relaxed, and let's breathe. So imagine that still, that's lovely expanse of the breath. The weight is even through all 5 toes. And if you can, just stay here if that's enough. And if not, I want you to just sort of lift up onto the toes very briefly and then slowly lower back down. And again, let's rise up onto the toes. Lots of work for the ankle, for the arch of your foot here. Trying to keep the crown of your head going directly up rather than too much forward. Let's do 2 more. Lift and lower. Last one. And from here, reach that left foot back behind you. So we're coming into a little calf stretch. Make sure your hips are still, your feet are still hip width apart, so we haven't kind of come a bit too far behind us or too wide. I want you to feel like your hips and your ankles are in line with each other. And check that both hip bones are facing forward, so we haven't swiveled to the left. Relax the shoulders. Breathe. Now from here, ever so slightly bend in this back knee, but keep the back heel down if you can. So really sending that stretch back into the Achilles ankle area. You might not get very much movement, that's fine. Just try and encourage a little bit more mobility. And then from here, standing strong into that right foot, you're going to bring the knee back up into your standing on one leg. And then release it down. Let's just rise up onto the toes a couple of times. And maybe just circle the ankles. See how you feel. Back in your 2-footed standing position. Let's just breathe into that. Feel that sense of connection. Feel that solid space underneath both those thigh entrance into the pelvis. Take a breath in. Breathing out. Let's do a couple of the breaths, opening up out to the side, in, and press it out. One more in, reaching nice and wide, and press it out. Good, now let's imagine your weight funneling down into that left foot. So seeing whether you can imagine all 5 toes of that foot nice and heavily placed. The arch of the foot soft and supple, taking that load away from the body. You're going to peel the right foot off the mat and hug it in towards you. You might feel automatically that one side is completely easier than the other, so I hope this is your easier side. But if you don't, that's interesting as well. So we often favour one side more than the other, but both sides can often be a little bit tricky. So again, thinking about that balance of the pelvis. Have you shifted automatically? See if you can feel that both hip bones are even, the waist is even on both sides, shoulders relaxed, hugging that thigh bone in towards its socket, or remember you can rest or hover that foot in line with the other ankle if that's too much. So relaxing the shoulders, drawing deeply through your center. So let's think consciously about pelvic floor lift, lower belly engagement. So it's in between that space, in between your hip bones. You want to feel really nice and strong. And let's press into the toes to lift the heel and lower. And again, lift and lower. And even if it's just for like half a second that you lift, see if you can try and get that lift away from the floor. Last 2. I'm quite wonky on this side. Last one. And release. Now from here, sending that leg back behind you, coming into your calf stretch. So again, checking in with the foot, make sure it's hip width apart. Check whether your pelvis is wobbled. See if you can hug that front thigh bone in and feel like that the side isn't being pulled back by the leg behind you. Bending into that front knee. Relax the shoulders, keep a little energy and lift through the lower belly. Trying to get the stretch into the back of your back leg. And then when you're ready, just ever so slightly bending in that knee, but without pulling the ankle up. So it's very easy to bend and lift the back ankle. What I want you to do is, if you can just soften even just a little bit, but keep the heel down. So you'll find that you're just massaging into the ankle joint a little bit more. It doesn't always feel particularly malleable, but it's good. It's really important for our general dexterity, life dexterity. And then from here, coming back up to your standing, one-legged standing position, and then coming back down. Let's go lifting up and down 3 or 4 more times, just gently trying to massage into that ankle joint. I am wearing oid socks, if you've noticed that. And then from here, let's open the knees a little bit wider, shoulder width or a little bit wide if you can, and let's bend into the knees. Take your hands onto your thighs. And from here, I want you to imagine there's a pole from the back of the head through the centre of the shoulder blades out through the tailbone. So we're not arching the back, but we're also not rounding it. I want you to feel like you've got a nice kind of line where your natural curve of your spine is preserved and the front of your body is active. From here, let's take a breath in, and as you breathe out, lift through your centre a little bit more consciously. So again, that lower belly lift. Send your tailbone underneath you, and then allow the spine to just curl towards the front and the top and the end of the spine. Curl towards each other, breathing in, and then send the spine away. Open the chest. And let's do 2 more like that. So we're just rounding and opening the spine. If you feel like this is a bit too wide for your pelvis, bring it nice and narrow, just see how you feel. So work within your frame of movement that feels better for your hips. Last one. And then coming back up. Lovely standing position here. Now from here, we're going to come to the end of your mat. Taking a nice deep breath in, and as you breathe out, we're going to roll down. Rolling bone by bone, finding the floor with your hands, and just walk yourself out. Either to plank, if you would like, making sure that the bum and the head are kind of in line down towards your heels rather than hovering the bum up to the ceiling. Or you can just come, I just said from the beginning, or you can just come straight back into your 4-point kneeling. Let's just open the knees quite wide, toes together, and send yourself into a lovely rest position from here. So breathe into the back of your body. Enjoy that sense of stretch and opening of the breath in the back of the body. So when we were standing and sitting, we thought about the breath through the front of the body. And now I want you to consciously see if you can track the sensations of the breath in the back of the body. So just in the same way, when we had our hands around the breastbone or the collarbone area, see if you can imagine that someone is laying their hands just around the center of your shoulder blades. And then after a couple of breaths, imagine that I'm softly placing my hand just in the lower part of your rib cage. And then gently towards the lower back, the top of the pelvis. Imagine a soft connection there, just encouraging you to breathe slightly down further towards the lower back hip area. And then when you're ready, just gently coming back up into 4-point kneeling with the knees directly underneath the hips, shoulders directly underneath the, hands directly underneath the shoulders, and your head lengthening at the end of your spine. So we're trying not to hang it down, but we're also not looking up. We want to feel like the neck is in its natural neutral position. Resting those shoulder blades on the back. Now from here, let's take a breath into the belly. So see if you can really soften that lower belly connection So imagine the space between the pubic bone and the breastbone. You're just trying to breathe into that space. And then as you breathe out, imagine drawing that space up and in, but without moving the spine. So how can you connect to the muscles without moving the bones? Take a breath in and breathe out, lifting through the lower belly, but really just cinching the muscles around your spine rather than moving the bones of the spine. Let's do one more like that, breathing in and breathing out. See if you can maintain that lovely lift, as we're now going to challenge the stability of the spine by lengthening your right leg back behind you. Nice and long neck, draw in through the belly. Imagine that your hip bones are absolutely level, so they're both going to stay in the same line compared to the floor, and you're going to lift that right leg up towards, just in line with the hip. And I want you to bend the knee so the foot comes in towards the bum, and then flex that foot so as if you're going to stand on the ceiling. Relaxing the shoulders, keep the belly active. You're going to bring the knee towards the floor and then lift it up, press the heel towards the ceiling, and then again down and lift. Let's do 6 of these, and down and lift, and 3 more, and lift. You should feel the buttock working, so we're not lifting the hip and the spine, we're trying to feel like the thigh bone lengthening away, but really using that buttock muscle. And then you're going to reach and lengthen the leg away, and I want you to reach the left arm away. Now from here, lower both hand and foot down towards the floor, then lift up, and again lower and lift, lower and lift. So it's that buttock really working here. Nothing else in the torso is moving. You've got 3 more, 2 and 1. Last exercise here, bringing the heel towards the bum and then lengthening it away, and bring heel towards the bum and then lengthening away. Keep, if you can, that knee in line with the hip as much as possible, so we're not kind of lowering the leg. You're really trying to use the glute muscle and extending the hamstring. Last one, reach it away and then bring it back in and rest yourself down. Circle the wrists if you need to, maybe you need to kind of roll them the other way or bring your palms up, whichever helps you to release the tension. You might want to just gently sway the body, breathing in, breathing out. Let's come back up. If the wrists are struggling, by the way, come down onto your heels, come down onto your elbows. I don't want you to feel like the wrists kind of not really that happy. So from here, think about that lift of the lower belly, that abdominal wall connection from the breastbone to the pubic bone. Nice and level pelvis. Let's take a breath in. As you breathe out, send that left leg away and then lift it up towards the ceiling. Now, I know that my left side of my bum is a little bit weak. We've all got a hard ass and a lazy ass, and that's my lazy ass. So you might see me wibbling around a little bit more on this side. So I need to be really careful about my technique. So think about which side of your bum is stronger. And let's bend that knee in, flex the heel, and then bring the knee down and then drive it back up. And again, so you've got 6 of these. And press and press. Really think about the rest of your body. Are your shoulders soft? Is your neck long? Is the belly active? And the spine, we don't want it to be moving. We want there to be just that movement from the glute muscle lifting that thigh. Last one, I'm not really counting very well, am I? And then lengthen that leg away, reach the arm away, and let's lower the hand and the foot and lift. Lower, lift, lower, lift. Trying to keep the spine long, the belly active. You've got 3 more. Last 2, last 1. And then you're going to lift that leg once more and we're going to bend, heel towards the bum and then reach it away. Heel towards the bum, reach it away, soft shoulders, long neck, 4 more of these. Reach it away. And reach, extending that hamstring, 2 more. And last one. Bring it back in underneath you, let's rest down. And breathe. So you should be feeling that your bum has had a little bit of action. Should be feeling a nice sense of engagement around the buttocks. And now we're going to stretch that out. So from here, I just want you to roll yourself forward, kind of lower yourself onto your back. So you can either come from sitting and roll yourself down if you want your abdominals to be awake. Otherwise, just roll yourself onto your back from your rest position. And let's just lie ourselves and enjoy being completely supported by the floor. If you need to, make sure you've got a pillow underneath the head so that you feel that you can really relax the shoulders and the rib cage is soft. Notice if your ribs are feeling a little bit like they're pinging up to the ceiling. See if you can rest them down a little bit. Taking the hands onto the belly for a moment, let's just breathe into this position. Soften the shoulders, soften the hips, heavy feet, heavy ribs, heavy head. Now keeping the hands on the tummy, remember how it felt when we were standing and you took one leg away, what happened to the pelvis? I want you to think about pelvic stability again in a different plane. So now we're lying down, we've got the feedback of the floor underneath you and your hands on your pelvis. I want you to take a breath in. As you breathe out, let's lift into the pelvic floor, into that lower belly area. So thinking back passage through to front, gently drawing and engaging the space in between those hip bones. You should feel the kind of lower belly gently drawing in. And I want you to open the left knee out to the side, but without letting the pelvis sink to the side. So from this position, opening that knee without tilting the pelvis along with that knee, and then bringing it back. Other side, let's open the right knee out without sinking to the right, so the bottom of your pelvis stays completely grounded on either side, on each side rather. Let's do 2 more each side. So this exercise basically is as hard as you want it to be, so you can really think about the precision of how far you can go with your thigh bone in its socket without taking the socket to the side as well. So it's a lovely way of kind of oiling the hip joints. Last one to the right and back through center. Good, now make sure the feet are nice and planted. So we've thought about oiling the hip joints in this direction. Now we're going to roll the pelvis in the opposite direction, in another direction rather, with your spine curls. So let's float the arms up towards the ceiling. You can do it with the arms facing down or anchored down if you want to. Just a little bit more balance challenge without. Let's take a breath in. And as you breathe out, roll the pelvis underneath you. Feel those glutes working to lift the weight of your hips as you lift the spine up towards the ceiling. Let's make sure your feet are heavy, so no wiggly toes. Keep them all grounded. We're going to breathe in, open the arms to the side. Breathe out, close. It's all about creating space today. 2 more like this. And close. Last one, keep that bum lifted. And the rib cage soft into the body, so we're not pinging the ribs higher than the pubic bone. And let's roll the spine down, bone by bone. Let's do that again. On your next out breath, wheeling the spine underneath you, begin to really engage those glute muscles as you pick up the pelvis. The knees are lengthening forward over the toes, the tummy connected so the rib cage doesn't pop. Let's open the arms out to the side and close. And again, open and close. Last one, feeling the hips or feeling the buttocks working to keep the hips lifted. And roll it down, bone by bone. And then release the arms down. Let's just stretch out the buttock muscles. So I want you to float that left knee in towards you. Take the left knee across the right knee. Now open, sorry, let's ankle across the right knee. Let's open that knee as much as you can without shifting the pelvis. So it may be that you're here, that's totally fine. Try and encourage as much openness through the hip as you can, but we're going to try and keep that pelvis square and the waist long on either side. If this is enough of a stretch for you, that's fine, stay there. Otherwise, drawing through your lower belly to support the spine, float that right knee in towards you. Now you might want a scarf or a band, or reach behind the thigh with your hands. Make sure your head hasn't kind of scrunched up and you're poking your nose back behind you. Try and allow the shoulders to soften and the chin to release towards your chest a bit. And let's find that stretch in the left side of your bum. So if you're not really feeling it, just notice if you can manipulate your bones to find that stretch for your muscle. So it may be that you need to tip over to the right slightly, maybe push that left knee out. Work on your own sort of bespoke stretch. Breathe. And then release that right foot down. You're just going to tip over to the right. So let the spine lengthen. You can cross that leg completely over if you want. It's a bit more of an intense stretch for the hip. So just whichever works for you. Breathe. And with control, coming back through center, let's release that left foot down. Nice control with the lower belly as you draw the right knee in towards you and take the foot across the left knee. Checking in with your pelvis, it's nice and square, long waist on either side, relaxed shoulders. This is where a pillow is quite nice for this stretch underneath your head, bringing that knee in towards you. Breathe. Relax the shoulders. Hug the leg in to try and find as much stretch as you can. You might want to rock a little bit from side to side, noticing whether it changes the quality of your stretch. Maybe little circles of the pelvis. And then releasing that foot down with control, let's twist across to the left. And again, you can completely fold, cross those legs over if that feels okay for you. It might feel a bit too intense on the lower back. See if you can keep the chest lovely and open towards the ceiling. Breathe. And then with control, coming back through center, let's bring the knees into the chest, hug them in. Maybe just circle the spine in one direction, followed by the other. And then reaching through the center of your legs, just grabbing hold of your shins, your ankles, and just allow the inner thighs to release. Breathe. If you want to stay here, if you like a little bit more of a yogi position, you could grab the soles of your feet and just let your knees sink towards your armpits into your happy baby. Just gently maybe rocking from side to side, massaging the back a little bit. Breathing into the whole body, so breathing all the way down to the soles of your feet. And then releasing the feet down one by one. And if you want to, placing your feet, or your legs rather, up on a sofa or up against the wall. Remember we did the little spine curls with your feet against the wall. Maybe you want to try a couple of those just to lengthen out through the spine. Bring yourself into a really lovely, comfortable position. To stay there. Stay there for your breathing. So you've got another half a minute with me still here guiding you, but I want you to stay in this position for as long as feels nourishing and supportive for you. So whether that's the next 20 minutes, half an hour even, see if you can give yourself that grounded space just to breathe and soften. Coming back to the breath, lengthening into the body. So see if you can expand that in-breath all the way down towards the torso, to the bottom of the torso, the pubic bone, the hips. And as you breathe out, just imagine your tension releasing, melting into the floor underneath you. Think about softening the big joints, the shoulders, the hips. Think about softening the little joints, those ones in the neck that we mobilized at the beginning. See if you can maybe just release a bit more tension. Soften the forehead, the jaw, the eye sockets. Release the tongue from the roof of your mouth. And just allow your breath to soften